Morning, everybody. Welcome back to Senior Talk and Walks. Got a good one for you today. Dealing with health, dealing with senior health. It's a senior channel, so we got to talk about some health issues every once in a while, right? So I wanted to tell you what happened, what I went through last couple of weeks ago. That kind of shocked me, and about $25,000 later is what I saw the bill was, which, of course, is Medicare. But a couple of weeks ago, I just went to bed as normal, woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning with really bad stomach cramps. And I've had stomach cramps before my whole life. I've had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, since I was 17 years old. So I know what stomach issues are like, certainly know what stomach cramps are. And so I thought, well, that could be relieved easy. I'll just go in and take care of some business. Well, nothing really happened. I couldn't really do anything. So I said, oh, that's interesting. So I took some Miralax, I think, and thought, well, maybe that'll help. Got up the next morning, didn't sleep at all, went on in to my office, and just kind of got worse from there. I actually had to go to a couple of meetings and tried to fight through it, but it was tough. Same thing, just stomach cramps, lower left side, down in the colon area. Didn't know what was going on. I knew it hurt, and it was starting to hurt a lot. So by the time I got home, I felt, well, this is not going good. Nothing I was doing was helping. In fact, it was getting worse. It was beginning to feel like I got shot in the stomach almost. The pain was that bad. So I said, well, I'm just going to relax for a while. So I sat back in my recliner and just tried to relax. And then I started getting chills. I said, uh-oh, that means some fever's involved here. So I felt, well, okay, oh, fever now, huh? Okay. So I did what every good person does, which is the biggest mistake in the world. I went online. I went into ChatGPT and checked this thing out. Well, guess what it said? If you having all these different symptoms, but you also have fever, call a doctor immediately. Well, this was about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. I said, uh-oh, what's going to happen? But we do have a local community medical center that's open till 8. So I went over there, and of course, first thing they say, I don't know if you've gone through anything like this lately. First thing they say is, well, we need to do a COVID test. I said, no, we don't need to do a COVID test. This is not COVID. And so they did everything else. They did urinary tests. They did, they felt around, and the doctor came back in and said, under normal circumstances, we would just give you an antibiotic, thinking that this is something like diverticulitis or something, that they would give you an antibiotic, maybe a steroid or something, and send you home. But she said because of the fever, that's a different story. And so they recommended go to the emergency room. So I did. So since this was the middle of the week, I didn't have to wait long, which was awesome. So I went in, and they immediately started to get me all hooked up. Had great care there, and they started the IV, and they were checking for everything and started pulling blood, and then I noticed I was in room 8, and then I heard over the PA an alert. It said sepsis alert in room 8. I said, uh-oh, I'm in room 8. What's up with this? So they finally, when they came back in, I asked him, I said, did y'all just call a sepsis alert for my room? And he said, yeah, you have the symptoms that we got to be careful about, and we don't know what's going on down there. And it could be if something happens where your colon leaks out into your bloodstream, then that can cause problems. And so I said, wow, I hope that's not the case, but I guess I understand. So after a while, they came back in and said, well, we want to do some more tests. They're going to do a chest x-ray, and then they're going to do a CT scan, which is what the community med suggested that was going to have to happen anyway. So I kind of felt that too, that either a CT scan or maybe even an ultrasound or something, they can figure out what's going on down there. So they did that. They rolled me down there, got the CT scan, and it was probably an hour later, I guess, because of the test results. And so finally the doctor came back in and said, yep. He said, you have an acute case of diverticulitis. And then, thank goodness, he went into a long explanation of what that was, which is an infection of the colon and how it could happen. And so, this was already by this time it was about midnight or so. I felt that it was going to be a long night. But it was still hurting, still in pain. They gave me a really strong antibiotic. They hooked up into the IV and gave me a big dose of that. And then he said he was giving me prescriptions for two more antibiotics, along with some other stuff, even something for pain. So they let me go home. They actually gave me 2 Tylenol, which were probably for the fever, which were probably $100 each. But they let me go home, and it was a rough night. And I say all these things because I'm looking for comments from input from people who've been through this. If you've been through something like this, what was your recovery like? The antibiotics were horrible. So I took one of those antibiotics, and wow, my heart rate was about 80, and it went up to 130 in about less than 10 minutes. So I said, uh-oh. I told my wife, said, okay, we're either going to have to go back to the ER or we're going to have to call 911, because I didn't know how high it was going to go. So the doctor was great that I'd seen the day before. He actually he texted me, so I had his number, so I texted him back, and so I was real concerned, and he was great. He said, don't worry. He said, that happens, that medication can cause that. That's really not a bad number. What we'll do is cut that medication in half. He was going to rewrite it and bring that milligram count down, and he put me at ease immediately, which was awesome because I was pretty panicky about that time. So just the mere fact that he had reassured me that everything was okay, I went back and laid back in my recliner, and everything just calmed right down. So that was great. But anyway, the next few days were pretty rough with the antibiotics still. It was 10 days altogether of antibiotics that, as any antibiotic does, it makes you feel kind of crappy, and which it did for me as well. But I stuck with it and did the best I could. But anyway, this is day 11 as I'm speaking to you now. So feel great, no issues. I asked him about diet. He said, well, stay away from red meat if you can, which I'm not a big red meat eater, but I do love it. But things like nuts, and you can go online and there's all kind of things to stay away from. Could be hereditary. My dad actually had this when I was younger. Ended up having to take him to the emergency room one night. And he continued to have problems, and actually ended up having a little part of his colon removed. So that is an end result for people that have chronic problems with diverticulitis, I understand. But anyway, if you have any comments for me on something, if you've gone through this and your doctor has given you a lot of good information about what not to do. He really didn't go into too much of the diet. He just said that it happens 70 years old, 71, and it's common, more in males. And in other words, it just happens. It's hell getting old, right? Nah, not really. It's great getting old, but it's just one of those things that comes up that I never even knew about, always think about appendix, or you think about, you know, urinaries and kidney stones and all these different things that happen, but never thought of diverticulitis. So that's my story of diverticulitis. A tough couple of days and a semi-tough 10 days. But if anybody has any information you want to share about what you went through with it, or give me some good advice, I would appreciate it in the comments. So if you like what you hear, I'm Bill. We're called Senior Talk and Walks. So being a senior, I bring you stories about my life as a senior. I'm loving it. I'm not retired, probably never will be. There's a video that I did about that. Check out my other videos, and if you like what you see, hit that like button and subscribe. We appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next time.